Hi, welcome to Techie Talks AI. Today's session is on Python. This is a short introduction to Python. If you watch this video completely, you will get a very good understanding of the basic essential syntax of Python. I hope you will enjoy the background noise of the squirrel. Let's begin. One very important thing, if you don't want to spend time watching this video, we will also provide a PDF, nicely formatted PDF, which you can use it for your reference. So this video is actually going through that PDF content, step by step by executing. Please spare a moment to comment, like and subscribe, and let me know what topics you want me to cover and what changes you want me to make. All that you need to do to follow this short course is to use your browser, laptop with a browser, and you visit this URL, colab.research.google.com. This is called a Jupyter notebook, which helps you to run Python code very nicely within the browser itself. It's a powerful Python mechanism that Google offers. It has got number of modules that you need. So later on, when we get into machine learning and AI based application, also this will really help. So this course will introduce you to Python as well as introduce you to the essentials of Jupyter notebook. You don't need to install anything on your PC. So let's get started. So what the structure of these courses, I have already entered all the commands that you need to know essentially for Python, all the syntax, and we will execute them and see how it works. So once again, welcome to this Python course. Let's get started. Okay, so first and most important thing that you need to know is how to print a simple hello world. For this, let's run it. Okay, so it prints. So if you type anything here, so here on the top you have the syntax, is where you type your Python code, and then when you click on this, it runs the code and prints the output here. So output gets printed immediately below the code section. So this portion is not editable. This shows the output. Okay, so let's try again. Let's run it. Okay, so now here for the print command, immediately after the T you need to put a open bracket, and at the end you need to put a closing bracket, and this double quote can also be a single quote. Okay, so single quote also works, but without any quote it will give syntax error. Okay, so syntax error, invalid syntax. Now if you try to print without double quotes like this, also it says hello is not defined. If this hello was a variable that you have defined, then this would have worked. Okay, so for example, here if I have defined hello as, say, Techie Talks AI, and then if I click the run, what will happen? This variable has the value Techie Talks AI, and that gets printed. Let's see here. So that is how the basic hello world syntax for Python works. So here we have a quick introduction to some variable assignments. Okay, so here we have a string variable. So this is called a string variable. This is, what is this? This is an integer. So integer means a number without any decimal or without any fraction. Now here you have a floating point data. So the variable names are similar, but the value will decide what type of variable it stores. You don't need to predefine the variable type in Python. Now here, this is what is this? This is a Boolean variable. Okay, so that is how variables are defined. Let's move on. And once that is done, you can once we run this, all these variables will be populated. So you can print any of these variables. When you click run here, the value stored here, John prints. If this, if you do like this, what happens? See, 30 comes. So this way we can print the variable values. So is male. So here what we have seen is how to define and assign variables, and also we have seen how these variables can be printed. Now here we have another variable s which has a string assigned to it. And in Jupyter, if you keep your cursor on top of a word, it will tell you what it is. Okay, so that helps tell you what it is, and it also tells you the value. So let's see here, value is true. So this is very convenient. So what is this? I have assigned a variable s with the value, string value hello, and here I am defining another variable, and there I am storing a built-in function len. What this does is, it returns, if you keep your cursor on top, it tells you it returns a number of items in a variable. Here it says container. What it means is a variable. Variable is nothing but a container for a value. So what will this length have? It will have the number of letters in this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you run this, the length will get populated. Okay. And when we print, the value gets printed. Okay, so now Python is very interesting when compared to other languages. Each variable is actually an object. So those variables will have many built-in functions. Okay, so here s is our string variable, right? It has hello stored in it. Now you can put a dot and call all the methods that are built into the string object. So what will this print? It will capitalize the string and store it in here. So it prints. So let's run it. And if you see, it printed the hello. Let's see if there is a function like this. Okay, so when I use the function capitalized, it made the first letter capital. Now using upper, what it will do is it will make all the items uppercase. Okay, let's put it back. Okay, it's capitalize. Okay, it's capitalize. Okay, so now here there are other interesting built-in string functions. You remember s has our hello. Now what will happen if you do this? It will replace all the letter E that is appearing within the string hello and replace it with A. Let's see. Run it. And if you see here, See, it became halo. Clear? So far it's clear. So I want you to try this yourself. Take a few minutes to experiment this. This will give you the confidence, and once in a while go through this video so that basic syntax and possibilities, essential possibilities will be very clear. Python is very powerful. It has got numerous functions and libraries. Later when we study machine learning, you will see all the built-in libraries for machine learning and deep learning. So here we are defining an array. Square brackets, we can define an array. And these values are stored in this order with apple or the first item appearing with an index 0. Okay, so let's run it. And if you keep your cursor here, it will show you the value. See, fruits now has 3 items. Okay, so what are the 3 items? Apple, banana and cherry. So here the numbering happens like this: 0, 1 and 2. So what will this do? Fruits will print all the items. Okay, it will print all the items. See, when we run it, you will see it printed all the items. Now here we are using a built-in function for arrays. Okay, so arrays are also called lists in Python. So what will this do? See, if you see here, fruits now has 3 items: banana, apple, banana and cherry. So if you do like this, let's change this to mango and run it. Now if you see in fruits, you have 4 items: apple, banana, cherry and mango. Okay, so if you print fruits, so this, what this append did was it added this mango to the end of the list. Clear? So initially list had 3 items. Now it has 4 items, and this happened using the built-in function append. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this is the syntax using which you can print individual items. So like we saw before, first item is numbered, or the index of the first item is 0. So fruits within square bracket 2 will print actually the 3rd item. Okay, so let's see the numbering. This is 0, 1, 2. So fruits 2 is actually referring to this. So that is what this printed here. Clear? So this way you can access individual items in a list. Okay, so now here we have another definition using a round bracket, and a round bracket is called a tuple. What is a variable within a square bracket called array or a list? Okay, and when you assign values in this way using normal round brackets, they are called a tuple. Okay, the only difference is once you define, you cannot change values in it. Okay, so here if you run it, this coords tuple has two values, and you can access the values exactly like lists by using square brackets and the number. So 0 here means first item. So this is 0, this is 1. So print coord 0 means it is actually accessing the first value. So that is what it printed here. Clear? Okay, let's move on. And so here there is an error. See, let's run and see the error. I am trying to change the value of first item, saying that error, tuple object does not support item assignment. That means you cannot change the value. So in software, when you build your own software, there are cases when you define an array or a list, you don't want subsequent codes to accidentally alter the values. In such cases, you use round bracket to define tuple instead of using the list object. Now here, let's now try to add a value to this using append. Let's see if that works. Okay, coord dot append, and let's add a value 9 to it. Okay, so here this object has no append. So append is not there in this. Again, the tuple object, once defined, you cannot add more elements to it, and you cannot alter elements within the tuple. Now here is another very useful object or variable that you can use in Python. This is called a dictionary. Let's run it. This is a dictionary and it has 2 items. But here you see 4 items, but it says it only has 2 items. Why? Because now here the definition, see, look, it looks different. Now here, this is the key or the index, and this is the value. So a dictionary is an interesting objects collection where every element has a key and a value. So this is how we can fetch the value. Person is the variable that has a key name and another key. So this is also a key. Okay, another key and its value. Okay, so person, if you print like this, person name, what it will do is it will take the value John and print it. So let's run it. Let's print it John. Okay, so if I change the name and run it again, and if I print it, it'll get printed. Now if I use age here, will it work? That age is not. I'm changing the age again. Now if I print, this is still coming as 30. Can you tell me why? Because this age is not coming from here. This age is the age that we have used at the start of this course where we saw variables. So this age is not a part of the person. So if you want this person variable or this Johnny's age, what do we need to do? We need to type person square bracket and you will need to specify within double quotes the key. Okay, so now this value comes. So far it's clear, right? So now let's see some additional syntax. Okay, let's continue. Now here we have the if statement. Now this is similar to any other programming language. Now here, this is clear, right? You are assigning a value to a variable. You don't need to use a bracket, but you can use it as well. If required, you can put a bracket. If there are multiple conditions, for clarity, you can put. The syntax is end of the line must be 2 dots, a colon, and the condition within this section of the if must be intended. Okay, it must not be in line with this. That is all. So it is very easy to read and very clear without any unnecessary curly brackets, etc., like in other languages. And end of each statement can have a semicolon, but it's not required. If there are multiple statements in one line, you can separate them with a semicolon. But what is important is if condition must have this colon at the end. Same way, if there is an else if, it should be like this, else if. Okay, and the condition and again colon. So this is clear, right? Now you can tell me what, if we execute, what will this print? You can see the result here. Let's confirm. Yes, it's printing. Age is 15. This condition is not matching, right? And this is also not matching. So it prints the else condition. So if you make it 18, what will happen? Say just turned 18. So this condition. And if it is greater than 18, it will print adult. Okay, so that is simple, easy to understand syntax. Now here there is a for loop. In order for the for loop to work, we will use our fruits list that we had created earlier. Okay, so now it has 4 elements. It has 4 elements. So apple, banana, cherry, and mango. And this is how for loop can iterate through the values. So for fruit, in fruits, print fruit. Let's see what happens. See here. You can also print name like this, and it will print name next to it. Clear? Now this fruit need not be fruit, it can be A, B, C, D. And then here also we must use A, B, C, D. Clear? So this syntax is like this. What it will do is it will take all the elements from this list and place one by one into this variable. And if there are 10 elements in this, 10 times this print statement will get executed, and each time this will come from each of those items in the list. Clear? So that is how the for loop works in Python. Let's move on. Next is defining a function. So a function is defined this way. You, instead of using function or any other syntax, you define a function by this keyword def, and then here we have the name of the function. Okay, function name. Anything meaningful you can give. So this was a greeting function where it takes a variable. So that is the parameter to the function. Okay. And what is this? What is this? That is the default value. Okay, so let's see how that works. Here we are calling the greet function with a name Alice. Let's see. Okay, it says hello Alice. Now I am removing this value. Okay, I am only calling greet. What will happen? See, it says hello world. So how did that happen? Because we didn't pass a value for the parameter name, it used the default value. So there are cases when you define function, you may want to specify the default value this way. Otherwise, you can remove it. Okay, and then if you execute, it will give you an error because this name is not defined. Okay, let's move on. Now here we have a quick introduction to class definition. Earlier we saw function definition, now this is a class definition. Differences in a class, you can have variables and multiple functions within. Those functions are also called methods. So here we have a dog class. We are defining a dog class and it has got an init function. And this init function, you can set those initial operations which may be required to initialize the values. And then we have a bark function, and there are no parameters, and here you see self being passed as the parameter to this bark. The idea is once you pass self as the parameter, any variable that is defined within or any method that are there within can be called. In this case we are not using any name, but we could have used the name in here. Let's see how that works. So here we are printing. See here, it printed woof. Okay, so here we are setting initially the name as Fido. So what we can do is we can say name and says. Okay, so let's see what happens, and we have to execute this. See, it says Johnny says woof. How did that happen? When we define name, it used the global name. So what we need to do is self.name to get the name variable that is defined within. Yes, see here, Fido says woof. Okay, so that is a quick introduction to class. So this is all that you need to know. So next is another unique syntax that is available in Python. This is called list comprehension. So here how it works is you can define an operation here. Okay, what it will do is it will use this for loop and pick each value from this range 5, gives a value from 0 to 4 as a list. Let's see how a range works. Okay, so let's. Okay, so the range is a function that returns values. So let's see how that range works. What we will do is we will simply print like this, print x and see what are the values present in this range function. Okay, there is a colon required. So here see, range 5 gives value from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 4 it gives. It does not give the value 5. You can specify a range like the 0, comma, by default it is 0. Okay, you can also say specify the increment so that it will increment the initial value by this number. Okay, so this range 5 gives these 5 values 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what will happen if you run this and print? First let's see the result. So let's print. What has happened? It has created a list using this list comprehension syntax. So it has got 0, 1, 4, 9, 16. Actually it is squaring each value. 0 square, 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, and so on. So instead, if you want to add a value, it will give like this. It will add 2 to each value. 0 plus 2, 2, 1 plus 2, 3, and so on. So that is list comprehension. So this way you can create list based on your logic. Okay, so now this is the lambda function. What this will do is it will take 2 values as parameter and it will return this expression. It will compute this value and return. So this is a single line mechanism using which you can define a function. Okay, so this is multiply is a lambda function, and here we are using the multiply lambda function with 2 parameters. So a is 4, b is 5, and so result will be 20. Clear? So if you change this to say plus, you will get the result 9. Okay, so this way nicely you can define single line functions. Now this is a way by which you can write into files. So here we are opening a file for writing or writing with append option. So if the file already has lines, the new lines will get added to that file. So for I in range 10, that is 0 to 9 times or 10 times, it will write this value into this file. Okay, so and then the variable file handle is to be closed. This is important to ensure that the file is properly closed. And let's now read. Here opening the file for read and then reading line by line and printing. So the content variable gets loaded with each line from the file. See, all the 10 lines are printed. Sorry, this W plus opens the file for writing as well as reading. It will override the lines. It will not append to it. But if you use A instead, it will open the file to append. Okay. So now if we read, you will find, see, 20 lines. So W plus will override the file, A can append the file. Now here we will see a very useful mechanism to catch errors. Okay, so normally, now let's remove these lines. Okay, we are setting a computed value to this variable, say my variable. Okay, what will happen if you execute? You will get a Python error message which can look complicated. So what you can do is you can gracefully handle this error by defining a try exception handler like this. Okay, 0 division error, cannot divide. So you can put a nice message, sorry, cannot divide by 0. So if you try to divide by 0, you can give your own custom message instead of the default Python error. Clear? So this is how try, except now there are various options that you can have here. Okay, so now Python comes with many built-in modules. You can also install new modules using Python module installer called pip. Okay, so now here I'm importing the math module. Math module has got a lot of math operations, like in this case square root. So let's execute it. So if you print it, you will see. So you can check out the Python documentation for all the math functions that are available. Okay, so that is a quick introduction of how you can import a module and then use it. So we are importing a module math, and then you are calling the function within the module by in this syntax. So here we will see how we can create our own custom module. So I have already created a file, mymodule.py. New file, mymodule.py. Okay, and I will copy these lines, saved. So now if you run, okay, so import worked. Then it is calling the mymodule greet function. So it says hello Alice and then mymodule add function. Okay, so that is a simple introduction of how you can define your own custom Python module and then use it using the import statement. So this is a good practice so that your main code will look neat and all related functionalities can be put in different modules. You can also define just a function from a module like this, from my module import greet. So earlier we had used import my module. When we do that, we can only call functions by prefixing the my module name to that. But if you import like this, from my module import and the function, you can call the greet functions directly like this. So that can sometimes be handy. You can also import it by giving any other syntax like this So this my module name could be a very long name, but you want to give it a short meaningful name. You can specify like this and then use that alias like this. Okay, so that works. Now this is another very interesting syntax that is there in Python. This will print 5 strings. So suppose this is hello, what it will do? It will print hello, hello, hello 3 times. That is it. So this is a quick summary to give you a head start with Python so that 80% of the essential requirements are met using such a short tutorial. You get the syntax as a PDF from the description of this video and also subsequent video. This is the foundational Python course that we are adding. Subsequent courses will involve using sophisticated libraries and making use of them for more complicated applications like machine learning, etc. So happy coding. Please spare a moment to comment, like and subscribe, and let me know what topics you want me to cover and what changes you want me to make. So that is it for now. This is Sri signing off from Techie Talks AI. Bye-bye.